You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to The Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 12th show. I'm committed to providing you knowledge needed to be successful in every area of your finances. Knowledge is power, and that's what you'll receive from listening to my show. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but you can always call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or go online to themoneyhour.com, ask any questions, or if you'd like, I'll connect you with the guest that I have in studio today. And right now, I'm here with Jeff Prescott with RE/MAX Metro Realty, and we're going to talk about protecting your home when you're on vacation. And Jeff, I know you do a lot of that. Thank you so much,
Jeff. This time
Jeff.
of year. Thank you very much for having me.
Of course. And a little bit about Jeff. Jeff moved from Portland to Seattle in 1986. He arrived without a job, and a friend suggested getting his real estate license, so he decided to go ahead and do that. A year later, in 1987, he earned Rookie of the Year. Now with RE/MAX Metro, Jeff has over 25 years experience. He has worked through many economic cycles in his career and is committed to making our housing stock increasingly efficient with energy use and repurposing existing materials for new uses. Jeff regularly provides consultations for clients on ways to update their home, take advantage of new technology, and maximize their return on their investment. Jeff lives on Seattle Capitol Hill in 1910 home. He updated from bare studs, so he speaks from personal experience. And Jeff, I've known you for quite a few years, and I know that there has been a lot of great and not so great personal experiences through the journey of all the work that you guys have done on your home.
Boy, oh boy.
But we always say you learn from things that don't go as perfect as we want them to, right?
And that is so true. In this one last remodel, if this one significant issue hadn't occurred, I wouldn't have realized of a safety issue of a cracked beam of my house. So while the shock and awe of just that discovery, it really saved my house.
It turned out to be a huge blessing. Yeah, I love it when it works out like that. So
took
Jeff,
2 years to realize, but
yeah.
Yes.
Well, Jeff, I also know that you guys do a lot of vacationing and you leave your beautiful home. And so kind of thought it would be a fun topic to talk about how to protect your home during vacation. Right. So Jeff, how do you prepare for your departure?
Well, a lot of it is the common sense sort of things that we all know about. Emptying the fridge of those things and getting stinky while you're gone. Throwing fresh flowers away so they're not droopy when you get back. Get in touch with the neighbors, that sort of thing. But then there's things to consider, like perhaps your plumbing. Some of our older homes in Seattle, it might be a good idea to turn the water off at the main.
Yes.
Perhaps it's a good idea to turn some of your breakers off, depending on what they service. Many of our newer homes do have air circulation that's built into them. But what if your house doesn't? Perhaps it's a good idea to turn your thermostat up, but do leave the heat on and perhaps the air conditioning, but at a much higher level. So
Makes
you
sense.
can still keep getting the airflow.
Yes.
Winter months, maybe it's to turn the water off at the main again, but get your hose bids covered.
Okay.
Also, another one I had come up is an unprotected toilet in the basement. A little dab of water antifreeze in there just might save some mess, a surprise when you return.
So there's a little tip there. So Jeff, you'd mentioned friends. So I know you guys have a lot of friends. You've got some great neighbors and, maybe family. Should you be recruiting somebody to assist in some way during this?
I think it's an essential idea. I'm in a very busy part of town, and we do get a lot of passersby. And it's nice that the neighbors know who belongs and who doesn't.
Yes.
And they can keep in, perhaps, the mail, for example. We're getting a lot of packages nowadays. And when they're left on the porch and collect, that's just a signal to everybody.
Yes.
If you can't turn that service off, have your neighbor come in. And I have friends that we switch each other's homes.
Love that.
So we do staycations in each other's houses. So there's still activity. The house is being used. and it just has that look of being lived in.
Love it. So what about social media and how that plays into when you're heading off for your vacation?
So personally, when I do share all my trips. However, it's not while I'm gone.
Got it.
I'm taking my pictures and I'm getting my posts all ready. I'm doing things for LinkedIn and Twitter and all that stuff. But most of it doesn't start going up until I'm either home or almost home. So anyone who might be perusing my site, any of my sites, they don't get the information that I'm gone until I'm back.
Yeah. And that's so important. It's hard because everything's so instant now, and you like going on your friends' pages and seeing, wow, they're currently in Hawaii, and majority do that. Whereas if there's somebody out there that wants to know when people are gone, social media is that perfect place to put you into not a very safe arena.
I also use Facebook too, and Twitter, and I'll share, but then I'll lie about who's in my house.
Oh.
Here I am at the beach in Mexico. Boy, am I glad Dad is watching the plants for me at home in Seattle.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Whether he's there or not, I'll say just a little thing like that, just to give that impression.
So, Jeff, what about notifying the police? Is that advised? Is that an option that you have?
So I do call the police and let them know my house is when it's gone. But they actually say I would say it depends on your jurisdiction. That's what I've learned. In my area, it's so busy. There's so much going on up there that it's just one more item. Plus, I do have people who try to come and go, and I can't always schedule that for the police. So in my personal case, it is difficult.
Yeah.
But if you're in a rural area, perhaps that is a great idea to let them know. So I had some mixed feedback when I did research on letting the police know.
Yeah, makes sense. So what about your curtains? So you close them all, which is an indicator that, nobody's there, or leave some of them open?
So I did some talking with the neighborhood watch councils. There's a bit of mixed information there, and it did focus on area specific, but the general consensus was open curtains.
Okay.
That the closed shows and indicates that no one is home. But the general consensus was keep them open, or a few key ones open.
Sure.
So again, but Samantha Nolan, she has a pretty interesting blog. She's with the Washington, D.C.'s Neighborhood Watch trainer. And so she likes the idea of timers, keeping your windows open and having timers each set to different on-off programs.
Makes
so the whole
sense.
house doesn't flash at once or off at once, and that they flash or come on randomly. And that's what I use. And there's timers nowadays that you can put a time in, but it randomly will turn on 20 minutes prior or after your set date.
Okay.
So even that timer's not at 8:01 every night.
Yes.
It varies day to day.
Yeah,
with
and
and
with
off.
technology, it's so great because I would imagine with lights as well that you could have something to set up to where the lights are on or off depending.
And radios are a good one. Some people turn TVs on. Personally, I think a lower voltage type of device that's turning on and off without me. But a radio set to a low channel somewhere so they do hear activity inside.
Sure. So you've talked a little bit about like refrigerator. What about other appliances and things that you should be cautious of if you're going to leave for a longer period of time on vacation?
I unplug everything.
Okay.
Except for the fridge, the obvious things again. But I undo most everything. And mine are on strips. I do have a few breakers that when I rewired the house. Anyway, so I do take a few of my breakers off.
Okay.
And just flip them off. I try to have people, again, into the house to keep and be aware of what's going on. And one thing that came up with a contractor I talked with is washer dryers. The new ones especially are continually drawing electricity, even when they're not in use. So that could be an idea, even just to save energy, is undo some of those these newer washer dryers that are out there.
Makes sense. So we talked a little bit about the winter, but things to be cautious of that are going to be different in the winter months if you're leaving for Arizona in our Seattle winters.
Yes. Well, the big one that I've come up with as a realtor frequently is broken water mains or pipes somewhere in the house. Always try to keep things turned off. I turn my stuff off many times under the sink. I'll turn it off there. I do have an area where I can turn it off in the main house. But if there's any water things going on, well, perhaps less so in wintertime, but my sprinkler still, my watering system still works on the outside of the house.
Got it.
But the inside, I do try to keep off, and so there won't be breaks. But
Yeah.
that's the big one I encounter is broken water pipes.
Yes. So the spare key that you normally have outside, I imagine you want to do something with that.
There are some really cool things out there that you can keep a spare key hidden anywhere on the property. And there's some you can make your own. I've seen some very clever things done where it's not recognizable. But one of the big ones I have found to overcome any of this is having the new keyless locks. I don't have a key in my house anywhere.
Okay, wow.
And I can program in, mine goes up to 20, but I see some that go quite a bit higher. You can put schedules in if you have a house cleaner or a nanny, each one with their own specific key. It's very, very handy and an easy way to be very secure. And especially if you have rentals, aside from even vacation, between rentals, you don't have to rekey your house every time someone comes in and out. You just zero out their code and put the new one in, and I think it's a real time saver.
Yeah. So what about preparation, Jeff, for returning when you're getting ready to return from vacation?
Well, I got to have a cup of coffee, so I know. So I am sure there's some fresh coffee ground waiting for me when I get back.
Yeah,
I want that
right from your
taken care
iPhone.
of. Right there.
Get it.
But even having a quick, easy meal that's ready to go and heat up so you get back. I like to keep the kitchen clean, come in, kitchen and baths are clean. I always try to keep that so it's fresh to come back. I like to, change the sheets, fresh bedding, fresh made. It just makes for a pleasant return, and having that meal and a cup of coffee ready, I can sit down and relax.
It makes total sense. So any last tips as we wrap up our time together, Jeff, that you have for my listeners?
Well, I think a big one I go back to is get to know your neighbors.
Yes.
Use your neighbors and let them use you. And you'll find out there's some really great people out there.
Yes. And I know Dave does a lot of that with our neighbors. We live in a cul-de-sac with 20 neighbors, and there's a lot of vacation going on. And so we kind of all get together and just really have that watch and, watch out for each other's homes.
And pets. I don't have a dog, but we have a neighbor who does. Yes, I'll dog sit. Yes. I can get my dog fix. And they can go and have their vacation, and I can have my dog time as well.
There you go. Awesome. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for coming back in studio and sharing some information about on vacation. Now I just want to head off to vacation.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. Coming up next on the Money Hour, remodeling a Seattle home in the hot real estate market. Denny Connor with CRD Design Build right here at 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.